All right, so 3 weeks ago, Brett Cooper made this video, and just for point of reference for everybody, this video made by Brett Cooper came out before the interview that Michael Knowles did with Nala Ray. So just keep that in mind as we react to this video.
Over the weekend, I was catching up on some content and I watched Michael Knowles' debate with Pearl, aka Just Pearly Things, on Twitter. And I thought it was really, really interesting. And there was a lot that they actually agreed on, but they have vastly different attitudes about approaching and addressing those issues that they basically both agree are fact. And I'd say that Michael's is a lot more hopeful. It encourages people to do what is morally good and right, especially in his Catholic worldview, even in less than ideal circumstances, aka just the state of the world and society in general. And Pearl encourages people to kind of take a step back, stop altogether until they can make the world change around them in their favor. Different strokes for different folks. I know that people love Michael. I know that a lot of people like Pearl. I'm sure that I have people from both camps watching here. However, one thing that they really did disagree on was the redemption of people, specifically women who have done OnlyFans and porn. And I want to talk about that today.
All right, so first things first, she says that Pearl and Michael basically agree on the problem, but that they disagree on the solution. I think you're wrong here, Brett, because while Michael Knowles says he acknowledges the problem, and then in the next sentence in the interview, he literally says something that contradicts the fact that he acknowledged the problem. So are you actually acknowledging the problem if you ignore the problem immediately after acknowledging the problem? Because in my opinion, that's not acknowledging the problem. That's pretending to acknowledge the problem so that you can then use that as a springboard to jump to your next point, which contradicts the very problem that you just recognized. Also, she called Michael's perspective more hopeful. And while I understand, like, it's necessary for some people to have quote unquote hope, but like, let's be honest here. Hope is just a bunch of bullshit, okay? Hope is just what makes you feel good and warm and fuzzy, okay? It's literally nothing else. Hope does not prove anything. Hope does not do anything. Hope is a feeling. Feelings are irrelevant to the facts of reality because feelings have no bearing on reality. If you think I'm wrong, then how about you go stand in the middle of the street and say, I feel like the cars are just gonna stop for me. Most of them probably will, but eventually one of them won't. And then it'll be too late for you to learn that lesson. I mean, not only that, like, I don't understand why people like refuse to let go of this vision of hope when it's like, why should we have hope? If the future by all measurements of calculation is predicted to be completely horrible, dreadful, and inhumane by every possible metric that we can use to calculate this, then why should we have hope? Because that doesn't make any sense to me. Because in my opinion, giving someone false hope is way, way, way more detrimental to their mental well-being and their ability to overcome the struggles and the challenges in their life than actually being realistic with someone and telling them, yeah, no, you're actually not likely to get that. You shouldn't have hope, and you shouldn't hold out for the hope that you will get it, because the overwhelming probability is that you won't get it. So, if you are continuously holding out hope that you will get it, you will just forever be disappointed, which I have personally found to be extremely demotivating. Not just that, it's like, it to me, a false hope just feels like lies. It's just lies that people tell you to make you feel better about yourself. And like I mentioned earlier, I don't give two craps about feelings because feelings are irrelevant to the reality. If I'm broke, homeless, and starving to death on the street, but I have hope that I'll be a millionaire and have all my bills paid, is that hope actually going to help me get somewhere? No, it won't. You know what will actually help me get somewhere? Taking some self-responsibility for the situation that I am in, because if I am in that situation, I probably had something to do with it and was probably the cause as to why I'm homeless. So I need to do some self-reflecting and take some self-accountability, correct the wrongs that I have done in my life, and then I will then start to become successful. Having just hope that I will be successful changes nothing. It just makes me feel good on the inside, which is why it really bothers me when people act like hope is this like super important like thing, or it really needs to be part of like every message. Like if you're trying to give people like helpful advice, you need to give them hope as well. No, hope is lies. Hope is poison to people who actually want to get things done in this life, because hope holds you back. Hope makes you see the world in a way that is not actually true or how it is. Hope is how you wish the world to be. And if you have hope for something, then you are saying that you perceive the world in the way that you wish it would be rather than the way that it actually is. So by just the act of having hope for something, you are thus being delusional with your perception of reality. Now, I understand that that's a very harsh view on hope, but that's my personal perspective on it. And that's why I don't like anyone who mentions the word hope. I just immediately ignore because they've never been through the situations that I've been through. They've never been homeless on the streets, starving to death. They've never been literally in the seventh circle of fucking hell, staring Satan in the goddamn eye. Okay? Hope has no place there. If you want to get out of that kind of hell, you need a lot more than fucking hope. And the point about that Brett made about Pearl, while it is somewhat correct, I don't really agree with it entirely because, well, yes, Pearl basically said that men should stop voting conservative until the conservatives actually take our issues seriously. That was really the only thing that Pearl said we should, take a step back on and not really participate in. Because Pearl's message for how men need to deal with the modern women of today's current age is that men need to decide for themselves. That no one can decide for you, and that you need to take a good, honest look at what there is out there and decide for yourself if you want to get involved with that. While I can understand why the Daily Wire perceives this as a perspective of you need to take a step back until things change, I don't think it is. I think it's just a realistic observation that things are not the way that all of the people at the Daily Wire pretend like it is, and that, having hope that the world isn't as disgusting and ugly as it actually is just foolish. Because that's what I think Pearl truly is saying. She's saying that every man out there needs to get a good, solid understanding of what is actually going on in the world before making the decision whether to get involved with a woman or not. Because as much as I disagree that you should have to be tapped into what is popular with what's going on with everyone to, find a woman to marry and a wife for your children. Unfortunately, that is the reality that we live in. And pretending like it isn't is just delusion and is only going to get more men thrown into the meat grinder that is the divorce court systems. And I honestly think it's the government that's pushing all this crap, because who profits from divorce? Who makes money from divorce? Well, it's the divorce lawyers and it's the government. So, of course, the government has a foot in the door because, they make money off this. Why wouldn't they have, a horse in the race? They literally have got skin in the game. They profit from the destruction of families and of marriages. And in my opinion, that's some of the most perverse incentives ever created by humans, that we have literally incentivized our government to break families apart. And people don't know why men don't want to get married anymore. I wonder why that could be. Maybe because my marriage is between me, my wife, and God. My marriage is not a three-way between me, my wife, and the government. The government has no goddamn business in my fucking marriage. That's for me, my wife, and God. Only.
All right, so in the debate, Michael argued that a woman who had engaged in sex work should not be completely written off because people do change and they find redemption, especially through Christ. And Pearl argued that while a hooker or OnlyFans model or porn star might find God, the stain of their past will never be completely wiped clean, and men specifically will never get over that. And her argument was that that type of woman will never be marriage material, a man will never want to be with her, and that is kind of the landscape of modern dating. And to be honest, I sort of agree with them both. I think there's nuance here. And I think it really comes down to the individual and the efforts and strides that they are taking to truly change their life from the work that they were previously doing. I mean, one of the main reasons why I argue that young women should not fall for the lies and go into that industry, among many other countless common sense reasons, is because the reputation will stay with you. Literally, that was the entire premise of last week's episode. You can delete everything online. It will still be out there. Somebody will have screenshots. People will still think of you in that way. Even if you have completely changed, it is still out there. That is a risk that you are taking if you go into that industry. And Pearl is right about that. But does that mean that a woman is beyond saving or not deserving of love and a future and marriage? No, I don't believe that.
Well, Brett Cooper's analysis of both of their arguments there is somewhat correct. It is not entirely accurate at least with Pearl's perspective, I would say, because Pearl's not really saying men will never want to be with her, because Pearl very openly admits that there are plenty of simps that will wife up hoes all day long because they literally don't know better. But from what I've seen Pearl say, and I've watched Pearl for a very long time, so I feel like I have a very good understanding of what Pearl's trying to say. And that is, even if she does get redeemed and she does find God, and that is all like God's honest truth, and she's actually like doing her best, and she's not gonna fall back into her old ways, Pearl's point is that the statistical data is still not on your side, because here is the unfortunate, brutal reality about women that nobody wants to accept or admit to these days, but is unfortunately statistically proven true. If a woman has slept with 5 men or more in her entire lifetime, that is what is known as a 304 or a hoe. And the reason that is because if a woman has slept with 5 men or more and she gets married, there is an 80% chance that she will divorce her husband within the first 10 years of the marriage. 80% chance. There's a 4 out of 5 chance that if you marry a hoe, in 10 years, she will have divorced you, taken the kids, and taken half your stuff. 80% chance of that. You know, that metric only goes out to 10 years. I bet if you extended it to 20 or 30 or 40 years, it'd be damn near 100% divorce rate for those types of women, okay? And so Pearl's not saying that nobody will want to marry these women, but what Pearl is saying is that these women have damaged themselves past the point where they are even capable of being a faithful housewife. Because let's not delude ourselves here and act like men and women are the same. Men and women are not the same. Men are biologically designed to have sex with as many partners as is physically possible. However, women are biologically designed to only have one sexual partner throughout their entire lifetime. An undeniable way to prove this fact is that during orgasm, women release oxytocin. And if you know what oxytocin is, it's what's commonly referred to as the love drug. It is the drug that gets released during childbirth. It gets released when you are truly deeply in love with somebody. Like, it is the drug that makes people fall in love. It's basically the human hormone that does that. But hormones, drugs, medicines, they're all the same thing. The only difference is the names we use to describe them. And while, yes, I know some people are going to come out and say, men also release oxytocin during orgasm. Yes, they do, but the amount of oxytocin released during orgasm compared from a man to a woman is not even comparable. I think a woman has more than 100 times more oxytocin released during orgasm than a man does. So while it is possible that a man can fall in love with a woman from having sex, he's probably going to have sex with her 100 more times than she's had sex with him for him to fall just as in love with her as she is in love with him. So it's more than 100-to-1 ratio here. So let's not pretend like it's at all the same. So, you know, let's be honest and just admit that women are not biologically designed to have sex with multiple partners. It's just not meant to be because of the biology of how they are structured. This is why men say to avoid hoes, because once a hoe, always a hoe. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. You can turn a housewife into a hoe, but it don't go back the other way. You can't, like, you can try, and if you are a high enough value man, you can turn a hoe into a housewife, but at that point, why would you even bother? That'd be like being a billionaire and then buying an old rust bucket beat up vehicle that nothing works on and then, you know, getting out your tools and trying to fix it by hand. Why would you do that? That's just a waste of fucking time when you could go buy a brand new Ferrari. And to her final point on this clip that women who've gone too far are not irredeemable, I'm sorry, Brett. You mean to tell me a woman with a body count above 5 who's divorced multiple husbands is not redeemable? Or, I mean, is redeemable? Because in my opinion, that type of person is not redeemable, because if she's divorced 3 husbands, what the hell makes you think the 4th one's going to work out? Like, you really mean to tell me that those 3 husbands that she picked were just such horrible men? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And even if they are horrible men, like she actually says they are, well, she picked them. Why did she choose to get involved with those types of men? That's her own damn fault. Women love to act like men are the ones in relationships who lie and deceive their partner. But I believe that's more women than men, because women are the ones who have to act all innocent and all and pretend like their body count is lower than it actually is and will never actually tell you how many men they've actually slept with. Meanwhile, men are usually the ones that are just like, yeah, I slept with this many chicks. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did this, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Take it or leave it.
And there are actually 2 examples of this happening right now on Twitter, which I think is really interesting. It's kind of cosmic and it makes for a really good discussion. So the first one was an OnlyFans girl that was on the Whatever podcast relatively recently, and she came out and she said that she was leaving it all behind. She had found God, she had gotten baptized, and had just been completely changed. This was the first thing that she posted. Just watch.
Wait, your biggest fantasy is
not
you
even
cheating.
my biggest. It's like one of my fantasies.
And she captioned it, "No matter what you've done, said, or believed, Jesus saves, Jesus loves, Jesus forgives." And then she wrote, "This is my testimony," under the video. And that girl's name is Nala, and she went viral on the Whatever podcast, as you guys saw briefly at the beginning of that clip, for saying that cheating was one of her biggest fantasies. She was completely open about her career and her job, was happy about it. She was like, "I'm happy, I love what I do." Classic, we've all seen those clips. We know those types of girls. And she is a huge OnlyFans creator, like top 0.1% or something like that. And now she's allegedly taken a new path. And the response on TikTok has been very mixed, to say the least. One person said, "Once a bop, always a bop." Somebody else said, "Bops don't change." And then from another point of view, somebody commented and said, "To anyone that says beyond saving, go open up your Bible and read the Gospels. He can do anything." Somebody else said, "I hope this starts a massive trend. Dub Nala." Ditto, completely agree. That first video that we just watched was posted 2 weeks ago, and then a week later, she came out with this testimony where she went into more depth about the change that had happened in her life.
I was a pastor's kid for almost all my life. I grew up in church. I was always in church. You know, I was also homeschooled. So my life truly felt like a cage. And I'm not saying Christianity is a cage. I'm saying religion was the cage. I was a Baptist, you know, I was a Baptist pastor's child for the longest time, right? Me and my family did not have a good relationship. And I'm the middle of 5 children. So I'm talking about my other brothers and sisters and my parents. About 4 years ago, I started my OnlyFans because I think truly it was out of pure rebellion. And like, honestly, I'm such a like independent person that I never felt the need for a man to provide for me. I met this person who's now my partner, and he truly showed me God's love. He was sending me Bible verses, praying over me, and we were just friends. I was top 0.01% creator. Like, that is crazy. That is a crazy milestone to reach in that industry. So I made what I made, I did what I did, but I want to share with you guys the truth of it all, because I am now giving it all up for Christ. I am now truly a believer. I would never take it back. God radically saved me from this darkness. And let me tell you, I have felt and started living that plan. And since then, the money, the fame, the Gucci, Louis, whatever bags, the shoes, the clothing, the huge trips that I've taken doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, do you want to go to heaven or do you want to go to hell? And my soul, I'm sorry, but it's not worth going to hell for at all. And God loves you so much that he's willing to give you everlasting life. You need to understand that your life is very temporary here on earth, and we all have a mission, and that's to preach the word of God.
I mean, that's powerful. That is incredibly direct. That's not saying, I just don't know. Like, that is some serious stuff. And again, the response was mixed.
Here we can see Nala Ray play Brett Cooper, because I mean, as you could tell, Brett Cooper fell head over heels for the conversion of this girl, Nala Ray. And it's ironic that Brett Cooper even found, like keep in mind, this video by Brett Cooper came out before the debate or the interview between Nala Ray and Michael Knowles. So Michael Knowles should have known about this by just watching Brett Cooper's video, or Brett Cooper could have just sent him a text saying, "Hey, Michael, her OnlyFans is still up." But none of that happened. But Brett Cooper found her OnlyFans, realized it was still up, and realized she's still charging money for it, and was like, "Oh, no, she's still legit with her conversion therapy, blah, blah, blah." Like, I'm sorry, I don't fucking believe you. Because, all right, let me give you the inside scoop on how OnlyFans works, because I know how the back end on that works better than 99% of the people out there, because I used to be one of the people who worked on that crap. So the longest subscription you can sign up for OnlyFans is 3 months, okay? And while yes, OnlyFans does not let you delete your account until the last paid subscriber has run out of subscription. So let's keep in mind, Nala Ray was baptized in December. All right. So at the time that Brett Cooper filmed this video, it had been about 3.5, almost 4 months since Nala Ray was baptized. So you mean to tell me if this woman was taking her conversion to Christianity seriously, then it's been more than a month since the last paid subscriber could have paid for her OnlyFans, and she's still got it up. I mean, if she's going to try and claim that I can't delete it now because there's still subscribers, well, that means that you were still collecting money off your OnlyFans after you were baptized Christian, which, in my opinion, means you're just kind of a phony. Because how are you going to convert to Christ before you even get rid of all of the porn and stop making money off of it? Just absurd. And to Brett Cooper's comments on the video of Nala that she just watched saying, oh, that's powerful. It's incredibly direct. I mean, yeah, because like this girl knows how to play you guys like a fiddle, Brett Cooper. She spent her entire childhood as a church girl, so she knows how to play on you religious fools that don't know how to tell if somebody's lying or not, apparently. I always thought the people in the church were better at telling if someone was a liar or not than like just the general people out in society, because I thought, people in the church were supposed to be living in truth, living in knowledge and the light of God. But from what I've seen from recently from all this is that the people with the most faith are the most blinded by their faith, because it's like they can't accept that somebody could be using their faith to turn themselves into a false prophet, and that they're just now all the religious types are just going along with it like, oh yeah, she's totally legit. There's no way she's just lying to all of us. It just makes me sad because it's just like, I don't understand how you people can be so foolish that you believe these foolish lies. And this last clip, I feel like is actual evidence proof that Brett Cooper is ignoring the reality in front of her eyes in favor of the hope that she has in her mind of how the world could be or how Brett Cooper thinks it should be. And while I'm glad that you have hope, Brett Cooper, but that doesn't change the fact that you're literally being deceived and lied to by this literal demon called Nala Ray.
And then her videos found their way to Twitter, which is where it really got fun. Whatever podcast tweeted and said, "We did it, boys." They shared their clip. Their audience, though, was far from pleased. One person said, "You didn't do anything. She's just farming a new audience." Somebody else said, "These degenerates actually believe a thought has turned to God and is turning her life around. Boy, she's farming a new audience and you have platformed her. You are the simps of religion." This meme also went viral. I hate explaining memes. I keep trying to say this and I'm just tripping myself up, but this guy said she has Christ now, posted a screenshot of her from the whatever podcast, and then as you can see in the meme, it's like body count 30, used up whole, but body count 30 with address in a Bible, and used up whole with the Bible, basically saying, doesn't matter if she claims that she is Christian, if she has repented, she is still used up ex OnlyFans. People won't like her. I got 2.4 million views at the time that I had screenshotted it. People were sharing it, saying that they completely agree, and then people started to point out that her OnlyFans was still up. Here's a screenshot that I took this morning, which it is. The page is still there. Now, granted, she has changed her photo and her bio to non-lewd images. This is what it was before. I'm sorry if you don't want to see it. Block your eyes. The bio was really gross. There was a photo of her butt up there, all of that. But the page still is active, and people have some theories.
Yeah, whatever podcast is full of a bunch of idiots. I don't know if they were just trying to play off the social media hype by saying we did it, or and now it's just sarcasm, or if they were actually serious about that. But what I will say is if they were actually serious in thinking that they actually converted this woman, then they're fools. But if they're just playing off the social media hype and the drama and, just saying we did it to try and, make a funny social media post, then I don't have any problem with that. But obviously, the problem I do have is if they actually believe that they changed her, because as someone who's speaking from experience from trying to change these types of women, because I was engaged to one, it doesn't work. They won't change. They will lie and deceive and manipulate you into thinking they've changed, but nothing's changed at all. They've just continued getting worse and worse and worse. And I know some of you are going to try and say that, oh, I'm just sour from my failed previous relationship, or I'm just jaded from all the women that have hurt me. I don't think so. I think I used to look at the world with rose-tinted glasses, and I didn't understand the true nature of women. But because I had to live through such horrible experiences with some of those women, I now understand the true nature of women. And, it's one of those things of once you see it, you can never go back. Once you take those rose-tinted glasses off, you never want to put them back on because you realize that it's living a lie. And I make a point in my life living in the truth as much as I possibly can, because I found that living in lies will just tear you down And if you actually want to become successful and you want to be something in your life and you want to be respectable, then you have, like, the first thing you have to do is just be honest. And not just honest with how you speak and interact with the world, you also have to be honest in how you perceive the world as well. Because if you cannot honestly perceive the world, then you stand no chance at honestly fixing the problems in your life. Because to fix a problem, you first have to understand the problem. Yeah, and I think it's funny how Brett Cooper can read the comments and literally he shows the comments of like, you guys are idiots. She hasn't changed. She's literally farming a new audience. Yes, that's exactly what she's doing. And how do I know this? Because I used to be in the industry. This is exactly what they used to coach girls on how to do. This is their exit scam, okay? This is what a lot of porn stars do because this is literally the exit scam that is promoted by the industry to most women. Like, do you think it's a coincidence that most porn stars find God around 30? By porn stars, I mean female porn stars, because male porn stars are not the same. If you guys think it's just a coincidence that around the age of 30, all these women find God, then you are a fool. They're not actually finding God. They're realizing that their career is coming to an end in the porn industry, and they're realizing that they have to do something else in their life. Otherwise, they are very quickly going to be out of a job. So what's the easiest thing they can turn to? Religion. They don't even have to change anything. They don't have to change their name, their fake hair, all the 10.5 pounds of makeup on their face. As Nala Ray is an example of, they don't have to change a damn thing. They don't even have to change their behavior. They can still keep selling their porn online, and all the Christians will accept them as saved and repented and all the BS. And it's just like, no wonder nobody takes Christianity seriously anymore. No wonder the churches have such a problem finding young men to join the churches. You know, I went around to a lot of churches as a young man, and let me tell you, I never joined any of them. Why? I could never put my finger on it at the time, but now I can because I actually have the knowledge and the vernacular to be able to describe what I was feeling back then. But the reason I never really joined any churches was because they always felt like they were preaching down to me and then putting women up on a pedestal, because the pastors and preachers were just constantly demonizing male sin. And fair enough, you know, sin is sin. I agree. Like, all sin is bad. However, when you demonize one set of sins, but then you refuse to demonize the other set of sins, which is equally as bad, it's just the inverse version of the other set of sins, then you are what I would call a hypocrite. And that's why I found a lot of the churches disreputable, is because I found a lot of them to be very hypocritical with how they approached the differences between men and women, especially when it came to preaching about the sins of both men and women, because nobody in the church wanted to talk about the sins that women would do. It's just like the topic that you cannot speak on in church. Like, there's no written rule that says you can't, but like it's that like social taboo where if you try to talk about it, all of a sudden everyone's going to get real angry at you for no reason. It's just asinine, because it's like, I thought the church was supposed to be the place where we live in the truth, where we talk about the truth, where we try and understand the truth, because God is the truth. But that's why I never joined a church, and I don't think I ever will. And that's also why I think a lot of younger men my age also are not going to join a church, is because it's entirely biased. I mean, not only that, like, all of the churches that I've been to and tried to, you know, like, date some of the more religious women. Let me just put it this way to you guys, okay? The last Christian girl I went on a date with 4 years ago, and this was a Baptist girl, okay? I literally met up with her after she got out of church, and like, I'd never met this girl. I met her in her car. Like, we were hanging out in a gas station off the side of the freeway is where I met her. You know, the rest of her church group was there. Like, the people her age were there getting food and whatnot. But this girl was in her car with me, talking, trying to hook up with me. But I was like, I'm not really trying to hook up right now. I'm trying to, like, see if you're worthwhile dating. And this girl literally reached up into my pants without my consent, pulled my meat out of my pants and put it in her mouth. And like, I'm so shocked while this is happening. Like, I'm just literally sitting there in shock and awe of like, what the hell is going on right now? That like, I can't even react until it's all happened. And then I'm like, what are you doing? And needless to say, I left that situation as quickly as I possibly could, never looked back and never talked to her again. Now, while I understand most church women are not anywhere near as bad as her, but you guys got to understand, like, this is not the only church woman that's done something like that to me, that could legally be considered rape, even though I would never dare call it rape because everyone would laugh and make fun of me, and all the men out there would be like, a girl tried to suck your dick and you call it rape? What are you, gay? Like, I get it. But at the same time, if we are to go with the legal definition of rape, that was rape. Because she never asked me. I had no idea she was going to do that. And by the time I even realized what was going on, it had already happened, and all I was doing was reacting to the situation. But that's why I steer clear of churches, and why I am very, very suspicious of women who are Bible thumpers, specifically ones who are not married. Because look, if you're like a traditional conservative woman, you've been married for like 20, 30, 40 years, whatever, and you're a Bible thumper, that's fine. I got no problem with that because you actually practice what you preach. The problem I have is with all these posers out here who pretend to be good Christians that are actually just hoes using Christianity to cover up their disgusting nature, which is why I'm out here on YouTube preaching to everybody that I can preach to, because the way I see it, this world's going to hell in a handbasket, and if good men don't start standing up and trying to fight against this, then we're going to end up in the seventh circle of hell before we know it. So I want to at least do everything that I can to try and stop us before we get there, because, you know, I have hope as well. As much as I preach against hope, I have hope that we can be better than this, that we can save society before it collapses and destroys itself. But at the same time, my hope is balanced out by the realistic possibility that no matter how many people stand up to this problem, there is no fixing it. And we've let this cat out of the bag. We've opened Pandora's box. There is no going back. And now we just have to accept the consequences of the actions that we have chosen as a society at large, and just learn to live with the consequences of our actions. I mean, I really hope that that is not the case, but if it is the case, then we're going to end up with a single society where men refuse to marry women, and nobody has a family anymore, and there are no more children, and society collapses, and the world ends, and civilization has to start anew from the Stone Age. You know, and the irony is we don't even actually know if this is the first time that human society has reached a level of technological advancement like this. This could be the second or third or fourth time that this has happened to human beings, and we just don't know that we've destroyed society multiple times already by letting women run the world. Because at the end of the day, that's basically what this argument that everyone is arguing for, that's arguing against Pearl, is that whether they realize it or not, they're basically saying that they want women to choose how the world is run. And anyone who's honest knows that it is not a good idea to let women make very important, life-altering decisions, because women are very emotional and usually are controlled by their emotions. Some women aren't, but 99% of them are. And even the ones that aren't are still a little bit controlled by their emotions. So, you know, it's just part of being a woman. You are emotional. Just like being a man means you're more likely to be more logical. It's not sexism, it's just biological realities. Men and women are not the same, and we as a society need to accept that fact and to start treating men and women as the human beings that they are, and not as these interchangeable cogs in this machine known as society that can be swapped out at the whim of a decision. And that men and women are not interchangeable, and you cannot have one or the other. You need both for the world to function. Both of them have to be working in harmony with each other, because if they are not working in harmony with each other, then they are fighting each other. And obviously, as you can see how the world is currently, we're never going to get anywhere if we're just constantly fighting each other. But yeah, this video went on for way longer than I thought it was going to, guys. Sorry, I had a lot to say about that, but hopefully my message is going to get out there to somebody that needs to hear it, because I'm not okay with living in a single society. I do not want to see the destruction of human civilization in my lifetime. I want there to be a successful, thriving society of humans on this earth when I die and when my children take over, and then when their children take over. I want there to be a happy, peaceful, prosperous people here on this earth for my children to enjoy with the rest of the other humans that are here as well. And if I can't have that, then God damn it, I will die trying to get it. Make sure you help me spread this message by leaving a like on this video, subscribing to this channel, and don't forget to follow me on Rumble.